Good evening. Chair calls to order public hearing for Resolution 003-21, Maryland Economic Development Assistance Authority Fund Loan and Workforce Technical Training Grant for Project Dane. Council, this evening we have Mr. Len Parrish with us. Whenever you're ready, Len.
Council President, members of council, thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to try and share my screen. PowerPoint presentation, so hopefully it'll come through here.
And I can do that. This is Mila. I can do that for you if you prefer.
Well, if it's up now, then it's working. Is anyone seeing that?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, then let's go ahead and let you do it, Mila.
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you. And you could actually probably skip right to that second slide. So we're here tonight to present our MEDAF funding support for Project Dane. Yeah, good. Yep. So basically what this is a state support through MEDAF, which is the Maryland Economic Development Assistance Authority and Fund. That's Advantage Maryland is what it's known as. That's the fund that the State Department of Commerce uses to do business attraction into the state of Maryland. So we have identified a company that is looking at a large project in Harford County, and as such has requested some of those MEDAF Advantage Maryland funds. The project in particular, we are not able to disclose the name of the company at this point, but I can tell you that they are an American e-commerce Fortune 500 company, very large, very well known, 11,000 global suppliers, so a very large Fortune 500 company that we very much want to try and attract. Go ahead to the next slide. This project in particular is the large building at Eastgate. So it's the 1.2 million square foot distribution center. This project would come with a little bit over $50 million of capital improvements along with it and bring a total of 250 full-time employees at build out. That's full-time. That's not including some of the part-time employment that would come seasonally and things like that as well. So there would be even more jobs than that number in total. Next slide. So the way the MEDAF contribution works is the state is offering a $750,000 conditional loan to the company. As a part of that, our match is 10%, so $75,000. The way that we would present our match is in workforce technical training grants. Those are reimbursable grants for training that puts company employees essentially up to a next level. So it's technical training that's meant to enhance their employment and their income capabilities within the company. So it is a matching grant. The way our workforce technical training grants work is we match 50% of the total training cost. So the company would spend $50,000 per year in training for a 3-year period, and we would reimburse $25,000 for that. In addition to that contribution, the 10% match, we have made priority permit processing and approval available for this project. And of course, we've made some amendments in our transit service to make sure that we can serve the facility as best that we can in our current transit service. And of course, we're going to assist with regional workforce assistance in recruitment attraction in partnership with Susquehanna Workforce Network. Next slide. This gives you kind of an overview of the property itself, the building at Eastgate. So it is the large spec building that is there on site. Of course, this does align with our e-commerce and distribution hub success within that Perryman Peninsula. So, you all know a lot of the names out there in that Perryman Peninsula already, with Clorox, Bob's Discount Furniture, Sephora, some of those larger names like that already being out there, and more particularly at Eastgate, where the Container Store is now, and Kuhn and Nagel. So this would bring that another nationally recognized brand to that area. And one of the things that's really great about this company too, in particular, is they do start with that minimum $15 per hour entry salary with benefits that begin on day one. So it's a really strong company that really supports that workforce, is really doing what we kind of want to bring into that community. Next slide. So that's it. So that's what we're here to discuss tonight.
Is that it then, Len?
That's it. Yep. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, Councilman Bueller, I believe this is in your district. Any questions? Each turn your mic on.
No, I just, I'm in support of the project. Lynn and I have had a number of conversations. I've looked all over all the diagrams. Um, I believe I'm a co-sponsor on this. I have no questions at this time. I'm thoroughly understand it. And I think it's a great benefit to Harford County and its citizens. You know, it's going to bring some good jobs and hopefully they'll be long lasting.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
it.
Beulah. Thank you, Mr. Beulah. Council, anyone else? Seeing no one else, Ms. Dixon, do we have anyone signed up for this?
There's no one signed up to speak, Mr. President.
Thank you. With no one else signed up to speak, this will conclude this public hearing on Resolution 003-21. It's now closed. We'll look at it another date. Next up, Resolution 004-21, waiver of distance restrictions. Council, we have Mr. Snee with us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Joseph F. Snee Jr., Snee, Luch, Hemlinger, and Spielberger, PA 112 South Main Street, Bel Air, Maryland 21014. I am present in my library with Mr. Darish Patel and my legal assistant, Megan Sheldon. You'll hear from Mr. Patel later. Vidati, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. And it's resolution 004-21. I want to thank the President Council, President Vincenti, and Council Member Andre Johnson for introducing this. This goes to the heart of a Class B restaurant license, on sale only, beer, wine, and liquor at 418 Constant Friendship Boulevard in the Constant Friendship Commercial Subdivision. The issue is whether or not we can waive the 300-foot requirement for Mr. Vidati so that he can open up his store again. Originally, Pelican Cove was the restaurant. That license was issued in April of 2011, and it was probably closed in May of 2015. So it's a kind of a unique animal in the law in that we have to provide a public hearing for the county council, and then we got to go to the liquor board. And right now, the property is zoned CI, Commercial Industrial District. The restaurant is principally permitted. The church is principally permitted. And if Ms. Dixon can go to the slide. Yeah, get rid of my face. Okay, there is the restaurant location. And as I indicated, that is located in the 418 Constant Friendship Boulevard. And it is zoned CI, which allows a restaurant, and it was used previously as a restaurant. Next slide, please. Okay, as you can see, that was the previous Pelican Cove restaurant. It closed some 5 years ago, and the church did not exist at that time. It was a, shall we say, an entertainment center, laser tag center. So we didn't have any issues since then. Next slide. Okay, in the green is the church property, and that is owned by Sovereign Grace Church, located at 416 Constant Friendship Boulevard. And since we're within 300 feet of the church, we need to go to the county council for a waiver of the 300-foot restriction public hearing with a recommendation from the county council to the Harford County Liquor Control Board whether to allow the waiver or not. We would be on the agenda, I would suspect, in March for the Liquor Control Board. It depends on whether or not you would approve of the waiver. Next slide, Ms. Dixon. There you can see Sovereign Grace. They are open at 10 a.m. on Sundays. To our knowledge, they only have one service on Sundays at 10. The restaurant would not open until 11, so there wouldn't be any conflict between the two schedules. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is where I don't know if you can see the slide, Mr. President, members of the County Council, but we are within the 300 feet. It's actually 115 feet under the alcoholic beverages article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Distance is measured not from property line to property line, but it's measured from nearest point on the building to nearest point on the building. So based on a Google, it's about 115 feet. So we're in 300 feet of the church, and that's why we need the waiver in order to restart the restaurant. Next slide. It's a little hard to read, but what this is section 22-1602 of the Alcoholic Beverages article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. It explains that normally you cannot have a restaurant within 300 feet of a church, but there are exceptions, which are at the bottom on the left slide. And it says essentially that if we need a waiver, we have to come before this body, and the body has to weigh in with respect to whether or not we can have a waiver. And that's the reason for the hearing tonight. If the council would approve the waiver resolution, which Mr. Kearney did a really nice job of preparing, then it would go to the Harford County Liquor Control Board in March, and then it would be subject to another hearing and another public hearing on this issue. I would say that this is commercially zoned. Both the restaurant and the church are principally permitted in this zoning district. And we had the restaurant there before its closure about 5 years ago. Next slide. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. One of the things that the statute requires is that the council consider the church. And Mr. Hevesy, who's the church administrator for Sovereign Grace Church, wrote a letter to Councilman Vincente and Chairman Tilley of the Liquor Control Board, dated November 12, 2020, and they support our request for the waiver. And Mr. Hevesy, you'll be hearing from in a little bit. So with that, Mr. President, that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snee. Councilman Johnson, this is in your district. Would you like to speak to it, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council President. I think that this is a great opportunity to not only spur growth as far as having the restaurant come back into having a restaurant come back into service, but there is absolutely no fiscal impact on legislatively on the county here. It's especially in my district, we have a lot of churches that are popping up within plazas and things like that. And this is just this waiver would be a way, like I said earlier, to help the restaurant out and to spur growth and development in my area. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anyone else? Council?
Mr.
Wagner.
I will say that Mr. Vedati will employ approximately 5 to 6 people at the beginning and have a capital investment of more than $260,000. And Mr. Vedati is here to testify as well.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner.
I guess I've got a two-part question, and I'm looking through to see if there's anything binding. Does the waiver only pertain to the church as it is now, under whatever, if you want to call it, ownership that it has, and the same thing with the restaurant?
I'm not sure, Mr. Wagner. Say that again, please.
Well, where I'm going here is if the church should find another place that they would go to and move out of that location, or if the restaurant ceased to exist under what management or ownership it has now, as the request is in front of us, does it terminate at that point, or does it carry forward as an agreement that grants the waiver no matter what restaurant is there and whatever else may go in?
No, now I understand. You're right, Councilman Wagner. It would terminate, and if another church went in, we would have to revisit that waiver issue.
Okay, that's one of my most pertinent questions. The other part is, what about if the church, is this waiver good regardless of what, as a church, what they do in the future, in terms of many churches have child cares later that come into play? If they had a child care, because you can't have a liquor license too close to a daycare center either, does it allow for that, or is it strictly for church use?
So it's a great question, comes up a lot. Under the alcoholic beverages article and the rules and regulations of Harford County, it's interesting. Elementary schools, you have to get a waiver from the 1,000-foot requirement, but daycare are exempt. They're not an issue. So yeah, if it was a facility for children at daycare, the waiver does not apply.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Mr. Snee, you said Mr. Badati would have comment?
Yeah, and I incorrectly called him Mr. Patel. Sorry, Mr. Vedati. So, yes, Mr. Vedati is here. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Darius Vedati. I hope all you well. I'm opening my restaurant against the odd, and I'm trying to give the citizen of Harford County an opportunity for another restaurant, and also I'm helping the community by hiring people. I like the community so much, I even call my restaurant Abingdon. And with that one, I'm requesting for approval of the license.
So that would be Abingdon Grill, and your plans on opening as soon as you get your liquor license?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and explain where you are in the process, please.
Well, I have my health inspection license passed recently, so I'm almost good to open. The only thing is holding me is a liquor license, and also the computers and the signage and all of that, and employees, which I'm gonna do it probably by next two or 3 weeks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Anyone else, council? Any other questions? Seeing none, Ms. Dixon, do we have anyone signed up?
Mr. President, you have one speaker this evening.
This is Jim.
Good evening, sir. It's Council President Vincenti. May I have your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is James Hevesy. My address is 2508 Red Maple Drive, Abingdon, Maryland, 21009.
Thank you, sir. Continue, please.
Yes. So you just want me to tell me that I'm in support of the, because I just got the call, I guess, right? So
Yeah,
We-
I'd like you
I'm,
to just tell me whatever it is you want to tell us.
all right, I am the church administrator for Sovereign Grace Church, which is a church in the parking lot right across from the old restaurant there. Used to be called Pelican Cove. I believe it's going to be called the Abingdon Grill. And I represent the church there. I represent the pastors. I'm the church administrator, and I've been appointed that the church. I've been the administrator for the last 18 years. And we have no objection to the restaurant having a liquor license. They had one when we first moved in, and then apparently they lost it or something like that. But we have no objection to them having a liquor license close to the church.
Anything else, sir?
Nope.
All right.
We just wanted to, we wanted open, and we opened as soon as possible. So, all
Thank you, sir.
right, thank you. Bye-bye.
I want to thank all of our speakers for their comments. And this will conclude this public hearing for Resolution 004-21. We will visit this at a next meeting, and this hearing is now closed. Thank you. We're going to take a, look like 7 or 8 minute break before the general session.